Welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I'm your host, Hannah Hislop, here with Robin Ball, who is the co-owner of Sharpshooters. Robin, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm super excited to get to talk to you, but first we're going to cut to a commercial, so please stay with us after the break to learn more about Robin and her business.
Style, structure, innovation. This year, the Spokane Home Builders Association's Fall Festival of Homes will be a fully virtual event with over 20 homes and 16 local builders. Whether buying, remodeling, or looking for design inspiration, find it at shba.com. Sponsored by Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery and Bosch. Local resources, proven leaders. The Spokane Home Builders Association.
We believe every person is created in the image of God with immeasurable beauty and worth, that people should not be defined by their present condition or past mistakes. We are all broken. We need each other. Healing for our brokenness begins with connection, with understanding how much we are loved by a good God. And with healing comes change, the potential for joy and meaning. No one was created for mere survival on the streets, for an existence blurred by mind-numbing substances. Each person is created with a purpose, a unique gift no one else can offer the world. Our job is to help them rediscover it. Real people, real change. Union Gospel Mission.
Welcome back to the Pulse. I'm here with Robin Ball, who is the co-owner of Sharpshooters Indoor Range.
Sharpshooting
Indoor Range, excuse me. So,
No
Robin,
problem.
Can you please tell me a little bit about Sharpshooters and what you guys are all about?
Sure. We are an indoor range with 22 points and a full pro shop. So we sell guns, accessories. Our focus is more on the tactical and self-defense side of the industry. We do a lot of training, and especially right now, a lot of training.
Yeah, I bet. Well, we'll get more into that. But how did you guys end up in Spokane? How did you start your business here?
It's kind of a funny story. I say that it was started through insanity, but I moved to Spokane to take a job with the airline industry. And my husband is retired now, but a commercial pilot. When we had kids, two of us in that industry, we decided was too many. So I decided it was an opportunity to go back to school and finish my degree, which I hadn't done. And I was working on a paper for school and had the door open between where my husband was and where I was sitting on my old black Macintosh computer. And he said, "Hey, somebody bought the Armory building. Maybe they'll reopen the small bore rifle range in the basement." Well, I didn't grow up here. So I very caustically responded, "That's what I do when I finish this stupid degree." And then I went back to work on my paper. And he came out and he says, "That's a good idea." I said, "What idea?" He goes, "The shooting range. That's what you should do." Well, I didn't grow up with a family that had guns. My dad never hunted. He bought a gun for $39.95 at a hardware store in Tacoma before we took a road trip, but it never had a round of ammunition in it. He had ammo for it, but he didn't know what he was doing, so he didn't ever load it. So my husband's pretty tenacious, and I knew if I didn't look into it, he would keep pounding on me, and I'd never get anything done. So I figured insurance would scare us, and it didn't. So every step of the way, we got a little more encouragement and a little more encouragement. The hard part was the real estate side of it, but that's where it began. So when we opened, I really didn't know anything about firearms. I had shot twice in a gravel pit with him, and that's all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Such a cool story, though.
Yeah, what crazy bank would give me a loan not knowing anything about running a business or about guns? But we've survived 25 years.
Yes, that's amazing. 25 years is a long time to be in business.
Yes.
So could you tell me what your favorite memory of opening your business was?
Actually the first time shooting indoors, because I had traveled and visited a lot of different shooting ranges around the country, the advantage of being married to an airline pilot. And but we never shot there. We talked to the owners and the managers, employees, but I had never shot indoors. So that was very memorable. It's like, oh, this is a little bit different experience.
How is it different than shooting outdoors?
You get more sound attenuation. So you have to be kind of prepared for the people next to you who are making noise too. So that startle response might be a little bit more, but people tend to tune that out as they're in there. And it's like, okay, I get this. And now I love it. As an instructor, I prefer teaching with bulletproof partitions, not on an open line. And I've done both, but I do prefer that indoor experience now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you mentioned you're an instructor.
I
So
am.
you guys have classes, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about the classes you offer?
Sure, we do. Really, our two core classes are basic handgun safety class and our women and guns class. Those are both entry level classes. The women's class is just women, and it's a less intimidating environment for women who come in who have had a bad experience in their past with a firearm, or are really nervous, or some significant other is saying, oh, you got to go do this, you got to go do this. So that's been a really popular class. And the basic handgun safety class follows the same curriculum as women and guns, but it's a co-ed class, and we allow age 14 and up to be in that class as well.
Interesting. That's great, though. So why do you think that gun safety is important for women?
Well, I think gun safety is important for everyone because you never know what your next experience is going to be. You may be in the middle of a situation where someone says, hey, my husband's got a gun. Let's get it out and look at it. So you just never know. And I've had calls from teachers saying, what am I looking for? I've been told a kid has a gun at school, and they don't know anything either. So I think overall in our society, it would be a good thing for people to have a basic understanding of what they should do. But part of the problem I see with new shooters is even people who say I've never touched a gun have had some bad training from Hollywood. Because Hollywood movies have taught us a lot of things that people emulate that's not safe. So then we're trying to untrain those bad habits.
Yeah, that's great. So you can untrain those bad habits by going and attending your classes, correct?
And repeating good behavior instead of bad. A lot of times,
Yeah.
yes. A lot of repetition.
Oh, that's great. So my other question for you is about the pandemic.
Okay.
There has been a lot of news about gun safety and people going out and buying guns. Have you guys seen an increase in sales?
We have. So it's a little bit of a confusing issue within the industry because any manufacturing, and we're seeing it across all sectors, but any manufacturing pre-plans their raw goods for a year or two in advance. So they know what metals they have coming in, what's available for them for manufacturing, and what their manufacturing schedule looks like a long time in advance. So with the increased demand because of the pandemic, and we see this whenever people feel uncomfortable, even if, like with the pandemic, well, what's a firearm going to do for you to keep you safe? The riots that have happened in the local jurisdiction, the concern that is going to continue to happen in the months to come, have made people who wouldn't normally be gun owners want to be gun owners. And there's some mental preparation really that kind of has to go into making that decision because it is a lethal force tool, no question. So thinking through all the what ifs, how am I going to store it? How am I going to keep it safe? How am I going to be safe with it when I don't know anything? And we've not been able to fill that need quickly. Like we're scheduling pretty far out for classes. So we did start a new program called New Shooter Orientation, and it's for those people who went and bought a gun anywhere in the community. They're a brand new gun owner and they have no idea what they're doing. So that's been really good. I think we're at least getting people started on the right foot, and hopefully they'll continue that training and that repetition of good safety and good handling in order to stay safe in their own home. There's no way a brand new shooter who just bought a gun in a self-defense situation can apply that tool properly. So
Yeah.
some training is necessary.
Yeah. So how would you suggest if someone was interested in going and purchasing a gun for their safety reasons or whatever reason they have, where would you suggest they start?
That's a really difficult question to answer right now because manufacturing is so far behind. Our inventory levels are lower than I've seen them in years. And my ability to refill that inventory is very limited. We're getting shipments all the time, but it's kind of a trickle of what we actually need. So to guide somebody who really wants something now and will deal with the training later is it's a more time-consuming process for my staff, and it just takes a while to kind of work through that process and let them handle a few guns and see what feels right and figure out what they want, what the use is. It's going to be different if it's, I'm hiking in the backwoods and I want something for bear, then I want a home defense gun. So the use of the tool is important.
Yeah, for sure. So as Spokane is expanding and there's an increase in needs for guns for personal reasons, are you guys planning on expanding at all?
We are always looking at different opportunities. And right now my focus has just been to get us back to normal hours, and we're still not there yet. So training for our industry takes a little more time than some other industries, and we need to add some staff and expand our hours back to what they were pre-pandemic. We're closed right now on Sundays, and that's been rough because we still need to teach classes. So we're in the building on Sunday. So I still have to have a couple people in, but those people I have really need to be in the building when we're open to the public because the traffic has been so heavy.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you guys are closed on Sundays because of the pandemic. So how else has the pandemic affected your guys' business?
We were closed. The shop was closed for about a month, but we were able to do appointments for filling out paperwork for background checks. That's been a nightmare, the background check process, because the demand is so high. Everybody's working from home. Law enforcement's working from home, the people who are running those checks, and they've been way behind. State says 10 days. It's not 10 days. Some smaller counties can get it done, but the big counties with big populations are way behind. King, Pierce, Thurston, Snohomish, Spokane, they're all very slow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
So some brand new gun owners are surprised to find out they have to wait to get their gun.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I can't take it home today? No.
Wow, that's crazy, the backup that the pandemic has caused for
They've
this.
managed to get a little bit more caught up, which is great. I don't even know how they've done that because I haven't seen our traffic subside at all, which means it's not just me. It's every other gun store in the community who's that busy. But they are kind of back under control, and on any given day that'll change.
Yeah. Do you predict that the gun sales will keep rising as long as the pandemic is going?
I think they will, and I think, we're so politically charged. There's a lot of politics in the gun industry. So I think as we approach the presidential election cycle, which impacts us every 4 years, we'll see gun sales increase prior. And then depending on who wins, we'll see that either taper off or ramp up. So we're in this mess for a while, and the pandemic won't be over by then.
That's so true. So do you normally see a cycle when the elections come up of rise?
We do.
Oh, interesting.
We do. And we see a cycle also if there's a horrific shooting somewhere else in the country, because then the federal government starts talking about gun control, and people have the thought, gee, I guess I better go do this now before they take that right away. So there are a lot of different weird cycles in the industry. It's impossible for us to totally plan for it. We sure didn't see the pandemic coming, nor did we see how it was going to affect us. But we were closed for a while. We had the range closed for 2 months, which crammed up my training calendar even more because we took care of those people before we started adding new people to the mix.
Yeah. Could you maybe tell us when those classes are? Do you guys have the general schedule going?
On our schedule, on our website at sharpshooting.net, There's a calendar link, and people can look at that and see what we're offering. If they click on the class that they want, it'll populate automatically and say this class is full or this class is available, sign up now. So we are booking into December. The new shooter orientation program, if they're already a gun owner and aren't looking to try different guns before they buy, which is really a great option with our classes. If they've already purchased a gun, then they can look for the new shooter orientation and sign up for that. And those are filling, but I'm doing a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it's a little easier to get into.
That's great. So my last question for you is, what other opportunities do you guys offer for people who are interested in gun safety classes, other opportunities that you guys have?
We do some competitions. We do a bullseye match, and that's they call it the Postal League because they mail in all their results and everything gets published in the Spokesman Review, and they're competing against clubs all over the West Coast. We have a real good customer who's a bullseye shooter, and he's kind of been running that show for us, which is great. Hopefully they'll be back this fall. They're not shooting again yet. We did just restart our tactical shoots on Thursdays, which means it's one shooter at a time on the range, forward of the line with my range officer. And we set up barricades and moving targets and kind of try to give that practical flavor. We run a timer so that the shooter, even the really experienced guys, the minute they hear that timer, they get that rush of adrenaline. So you get a little different feel for how you react under stress, which is great if you're carrying a gun for self-defense.
Yeah.
And then other than that, we're open to the public. We rarely run a waiting list. We have a lot of capacity other than for classes.
I think I saw on your website that you guys have date nights.
We do, and that's not back until we expand our hours back out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that's-
we'll get there. I just don't. My crystal ball's not that clear. I don't know when we're going to get there.
Well, I think that people should do that because it sounds fun.
Yeah,
but
it is fun.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us. I so enjoyed getting to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and this has been the Pulse of Spokane. I'm your host, Hannah Hislop, and you can check out this interview soon.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Local 29 Firefighters Union, Well Dressed Walrus, and Homes for You.